Curtain Network.
What's up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I am your host, Jeff Hartman, joined by my co-hosts, Bryan Davis and Dave Schofield. Bryan, what's up?
I am here. I'm ready to go. And do you realize it's almost July?
It is hard to believe that it's almost July. Dave Schofield, what's up?
2 down, 4 to go.
What's that, weeks?
Yep, weeks from the end of mandatory minicamp to the start of training camp.
There you go. Yeah, good point. We are getting closer, and there's no real Steelers news. That is a good thing. Ahkello Witherspoon reportedly signed with the Los Angeles Rams as a free agent, in case you were curious. I have a question for you all that is not ridiculously Steelers specific, but I find it very interesting. So, as we know, Kenny Pickett got married recently, and the video was great, and it looked like it was a fun party, and I put it on our Steel Curtain Network Twitter feed and our Facebook page. You can check it out if you missed it. How in the hell do you think he goes about inviting people and not inviting people when you're on a team like a 90-man roster? I mean, think about that. How do you do that? Bryan, if you were a Kenny Pickett in his shoes, you're getting married. Some of these guys you don't really know that well. Some of these guys you're teammates with, but you're not really friends with. Where is that line of demarcation of who gets an invite and who doesn't?
You know, you kind of just do this. You just put it up on the bulletin board and hope no one sees it.
What? You're telling me that if you're Kenny Pickett, you go into work, you put it on the bulletin board, and what does that say? Wedding, come if you want?
Yeah, but basically,
it's not a picnic.
Just please RSVP. I mean, I've seen that done before. I mean, you know what? It's kind of one of those things that you know the guys that you're close to, and I think a lot of these players understand, because if they're enduring the same type of thing, you can't invite everybody. But with what Kenny Pickett is going to eventually make in a year, I mean, he probably can. I mean,
yeah.
But it's a hard thing to do. I mean, seriously, I'm if I were to get married again, I would definitely invite you and Jeff and Jeff and Dave, and then I would just and Andrew Wobar, he's here in the live chat. I'd say, hey Andrew, I know you live in Michigan or Ohio or somewhere. If you want to come on, and hope he doesn't buy a plane ticket and come. Even though I love Andrew.
Yeah, I can just imagine, like, so the July 26th rolls around, Steelers report to training camp, and they're all sitting around in St. Vincent College in Latrobe, and they're like, oh my gosh, Kenny, dude, your wedding, that free, like the bar that you had, oh my gosh, that was awesome. And then right next to him is a player, let's say it's Connor Hayward, as an example. Not that Connor didn't get the invite, but let's just say Connor's like, wait a second, he got invited? I didn't get an invite? How did I get an invite? Dave, how would you have done it?
That's so difficult to navigate. It really is. The question is, how long have they been engaged?
I think at least a year.
So you could always go with the whole idea of, hey guys, we already had the list before I got drafted.
Well, but Calvin Austin was there. We know that.
Was he? Or, hey guys, I had to have a final list and all we had was rookie minicamp.
It would be tough. Like I
don't know how you juggle that.
I said this as a joke on Twitter, but I was actually kind of serious because I know that it was difficult for me when I got married and thinking about, okay, like I was in a fraternity. Who do you invite? Who do you not? How do you walk that line of, I'll invite this guy, like Bryan said, but I'm probably not banking on him showing up anyways, but at least the invite was sent. It's a delicate step. I mean, he's a leader of the team. And, not saying it's going to cause a locker room rift or anything like that. I just thought it was funny. Go ahead, Bryan.
And it's just not 90-man roster. It's like coaches. It's like,
exactly.
How do you leave out Omar Khan? So
does Kevin Colbert get invited? He drafted him.
Yeah. I mean,
what about the equipment guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does it end?
Yeah.
It doesn't. Did you see the ice sculpture though?
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, and the food around the ice sculpture, I was like, I would have crashed that wedding.
Fresh oyster, shrimp. I mean, I was like, dang. And then there were,
hey, I'm on the practice squad.
Yeah. Hey, can
I
I
wear
come
my
in?
finny pants.
Yeah, seriously. Look, I'm wearing my game gear. I know that there was some people on Twitter because the Steel Curtain Network's tweet kind of gained a lot of steam and got a lot of traction. Some people knew where that was in New Jersey, and they said that's a six-figure bill for everything, easily 6 figures.
Hey, don't the parents of the bride usually take care of it? I'm just saying.
Those
That's
two.
tradition, but
Yeah,
Daughter,
doesn't mean it has to
I'm
be
trying
that
to
way.
buck that trend.
yeah. Jeff,
Say,
Jeff is,
Mr. Four Daughters.
yeah, Dave and I are good. We've got one, and we can plan
Yeah.
on that. Jeff doesn't only have 4 weddings; he has 4 proms, 8 homecomings.
Don't remind me.
Oh, he's screwed.
Yeah. Sherry Richards asked, was Matt Canada there? Probably. I don't know. This is it can get dicey. Dave,
You know what?
Add?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
He probably conducted the rehearsal because he came up with the game plan for rehearsal.
There you go.
And it was just like short walks and short passes here and there. Jet sweeps. They had to do jet sweeps down the aisle.
There you go. Dave, what about you?
When my wife and I, when we got married, it's ironic that this is what we're talking about because we're the day in between my anniversary and Jeff's anniversary.
Right. Mine's tomorrow.
And mine was yesterday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, fellas.
Yes.
Nice.
Mine was 20 years yesterday and Jeff is 16 tomorrow.
Correct.
So if you're listening to this on Thursday, when we got married, we were trying to keep it small and tight. Now, we paid for our own wedding, my wife and I, when we got married. But that wasn't the only reason. She kind of wanted to have a smaller wedding. We would have been married 2 weeks earlier, except another couple friend of ours from college grabbed the date first. They got engaged like 2 days after we did. They grabbed that date first.
That was intentional too.
Yeah. So we went 2 weeks later. It's funny. We bought a house we each bought our own houses for the first time within 2 weeks of each other. It was crazy. Their first child was born 2 weeks before our third child, actually. But anyway,
you beat them there then.
Yeah. But what happened was they had a bigger wedding. So we saw friends from college 2 weeks ahead of our wedding that didn't get an invite. That was awkward.
I bet. Bet.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? All right, good. That was a good introduction.
I really like you anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, I enjoyed my wedding so much I did it twice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my wedding a little too much. Let's put it that way. All right. Let's go with the topic at hand for this podcast. I was listening to Dave's Stat Geek podcast, and I knew what he was going to be doing. He had talked to me about having Rob Stats Guerrera of Fans First Sports Network, covers the San Francisco 49ers and the Gold Standard Network. He had him on his Stat Geek podcast. You can hear that anywhere where you get your podcast. Go check it out. Great interview on Thursday morning. And I was like, you know what? I want to think about their quarterback situation because I find it fascinating, this whole ordeal with Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold. It's who knows what's going to happen. It just depends on who you listen to. And so then I started thinking about, well, we've broken down the schedule, but have we looked at just the quarterbacks the Steelers are going to face? When you think about it in this respect, everyone says the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, right? If you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning anything. So I thought, what if we went through the schedule and just looked at the quarterbacks and just gave our general thoughts about what are your feelings about this matchup with this quarterback? Because I can only say how I felt back in the early 2000s when you would look at the schedule and see Tom Brady and the New England Patriots were on the schedule. You're thinking, oh, crap, that's a daunting game. That's a daunting task. Not that you can't win it, but that's tough. Same with like Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. A tough game. Like it's not going to be easy. So I thought, let's do this way. Let's go through this and let's actually go game by game, talk about the quarterback situation. What do you think? This might run a little bit longer than normal, and we'll be fine. We'll do trivia after the break. So let's start with that week 1 game. San Francisco comes to Pittsburgh. We don't know. And that's exactly what Stats said on Dave's show on Thursday. We have no clue who the quarterback's going to be. So it might be Brock Purdy if he's healthy enough. The dude just started throwing, by the way. It might be Sam Darnold, who they picked up, or it might be Trey Lance. Brian, do any of these three strike fear in your heart, so to speak?
Lance does not really scare me whatsoever. I mean,
what did you call them?
Lance.
Oh, okay, I see.
Look, I'm not
I love that.
probably Purdy is the guy that you would probably think of the most. And I know he was Mr. Irrelevant, but you just brought up Tom Brady, and it seemed like everybody overlooked him, and he did really well. But he was also surrounded by he got installed in a fantastic offense as well. So there's two things that can happen, and it's very easy. This is a cop-out for me to say. Either he's not what we thought, or he's a second coming of Tom Brady. And we are going to find that out. But how rusty is he coming off that injury? And he's not going to get a whole heck of a lot of action. I kind of think we're going to see Sam Darnold, but I just don't know. And obviously, I don't think that they believe in Trey Lance.
I don't think it's Brock Purdy either, not that early in the season. But Dave, you were the one that talked to stats. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I got to try to be careful with this because I got him to give me more of his own personal opinion off the air, which was a whole lot of fun. So that I'm keeping that one to myself. But I'm going to say this about the 49ers because what I also said to stats off the air, and that was, did it matter what quarterback they plugged in last year? I mean, think about it. And this was something that he brought up. Purdy had a lot of touchdowns. He didn't really have very many yards.
Yeah.
To me, I think that first matchup that the Steelers have now, granted, this is because it's the one I'm focused on. To me, seems like it is the least quarterback dependent team that they're going to be facing. The 49ers are kind of set up to kind of be that solid roster squad that the quarterback isn't as big of a driving force as any other team that they play. I could be completely off on that. That's just the way it feels to me based on how it was last year.
Yeah, either way you cut it, slice it, whatever you want to say, Purdy, Darnold, Lance. This matchup, when you're talking about the quarterback alone, I mean, the 49ers in their defenses, they're really good. But in terms of their quarterback, that doesn't scare me too much. Let's go to week 2, and this is going to encompass not just what's up. Did I miss
Brian?
Something?
Yeah, I was just going to say something here.
Okay.
The NFL did the Steelers a favor with this schedule because we saw something the last couple years. They faced Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. They faced Mr. Burrow, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati last year, 2 of the top young quarterbacks in the league. And remember, nobody has a better chance at winning week 1 than Mike Tomlin because of all that time to prepare. And we saw it the last 2 years. So I'll take my chances with whoever is the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, knowing that they have a lot of time to prepare for this team.
Yeah, and I know we've got to get going.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you say that they did the Steelers a favor, and I do think it is. I'd much rather play San Francisco week 1 than later on. And like Stat said, he would much rather have played Pittsburgh later than have to play them week 1. But this is the third straight year now that the Steelers open up their season with a team that played in the conference championship the year before, right?
I think you're right, yeah.
So they're hitting them pretty hard right off the bat. And I think there's only a year or 2 in there where it hasn't been. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. They had to go to New England on Thursday night to start. So,
yeah,
but
we'll see.
Let's see. I like what they've done in recent years, but those were other years, and this is 2023. Let's see how it goes.
So let's go to week 2, which is also going to encompass the second game against the Cleveland Browns. We'll assume Deshaun Watson is the quarterback for both of those games. The Steelers only played Deshaun Watson 1 time last year in the regular season finale in the Thursday night game. Earlier in the season, that was Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. But Brian, let's focus on Watson. Is this guy scary at all?
No, and this is the reason why. All that time off, I really think, I don't think you get that back. We saw it with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is not a quarterback, and I understand that. But any time off in the National Football League really, really kills you. He's an older quarterback now, and look at this. He started his first game December 3rd or 4th against the Houston Texans. Now, he had a lot of time to get acclimated by the time he got to Pittsburgh on the last day of the season. And he was lackluster in that game. He was not great. The Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, were trying to get to the playoffs in that game, but it didn't matter. He did not have a chance in that ball game, and I don't care where he is. They pay him all the money. That's fine. He's not the quarterback he was in Houston.
All right, Dave, what do you think?
I think once again, because of how it all finished out last year with the Browns, is that it's better to get Watson early in the season. So and it's in Pittsburgh and it's on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So all those things stacking up, I am actually more concerned about the other matchup against the Browns later in the season. Much more than that one.
Watson has done nothing yet outside of the fact that he eluded a ton of pressure in that regular season finale last year. I mean, if you remember, there were like 9 sacks that he eluded. We were just like pulling.
And they still had like 7.
Oh, I know. And they still had a ton. Yeah. So, I mean, outside of that, I haven't seen him do anything that would mean that makes me think that he is that older form of himself. Brian said it perfectly. You can't get that time back. I'm not sure if he ever will. I'm not scared of Deshaun Watson. Now let's go to the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. We're assuming it's Jimmy G. Jimmy G still dealing with that foot/ankle injury. I think the backup is Boyer, if I'm correct, but I'm not sure. You get the McDaniels connection there. Brian, is that who it is?
Brian Hoyer?
Hoyer, my bad.
And then Aiden O'Connell is battling for, he's a rookie,
right.
and he's battling for that second spot. For some reason, I know a lot about the Raiders right now.
Yeah, I wonder why. So the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast on Fans First Sports Network. So, Brian, what do you think about this quarterback situation in the desert with Jimmy G?
I'm actually going to say this scares me. Jimmy G is one of those quarterbacks that could carve the Steelers up. He is he the guy that you're going to go ahead and put on a pedestal and say that he is in the category of an Allen and a Burrow and, a Mahomes? No, but he's the kind of player that knows how to win. He knows how to find his receivers. He knows how to, outlet to the running backs. He has George Kittle. Excuse me, not George Kittle. He's still in San Francisco. He has a very good team though there. And I really feel that he's the kind of player that this could be a dangerous get on the road.
Okay. Dave, Jimmy G scary at all?
He's banged up. We don't know what version of Jimmy G we're getting. And what really doesn't scare me is Josh McDaniels as a head coach. I don't think he's really head coach material. I think he's one of those guys that's a pretty good coordinator, but I don't know. I'm not overly impressed yet, but he's still got time to write that story for himself. So right now, that one's not one that jumps out at me as being overly scary.
Again, good that it's early in the season. If Jimmy G's ankle is still lingering, maybe he's not in the lineup. We'll see. This game in terms of quarterback. Remember, Steelers playing the Raiders on the road on the West Coast is never favorable, but still, we're just talking about the quarterback matchups. This one doesn't scare me. Neither does week 4, where the Steelers go to Houston. We're assuming it's CJ Stroud, rookie, a second overall pick, I believe, after Bryce Young of Alabama went to Carolina. Brian, what do you think about this rookie out of Ohio State?
He's very good, but he does not scare me. The Steelers typically, and for a long, long time, have done very well against rookie quarterbacks, no matter what the pedigree is.
Dave, you agree?
Love what Brian said.
The Steelers historically do very well against rookie quarterbacks. It is on the road. That the Texans are always that team that's just kind of weird. I always go back to the game where, what did the Steelers hold them to, like 40 yards rushing and still lost because Tommy Maddox threw 2
picks. You know, if you bring up that game, we're going to have to hear about it for a couple minutes from Brian. Just
I was there
about going into the Wildcat.
I was there.
Yeah, that was bad. So that lingers with me for some reason.
2002.
We're not gonna linger on that game. Let's go to the next game on the schedule, which is the Ravens. So we'll tackle this one. A weird stat that I didn't even know existed was something I think it was Jeffrey Benedict said on the cutting room floor this past week, which was since Lamar Jackson has been the starting quarterback, he's never played the Steelers twice in a season, ever, and that's pretty remarkable. But we're going to assume, for the sake of this exercise, that he is healthy for both of these games. Knowing what we know about Lamar, it's a new offensive coordinator. We know how the Steelers play against Lamar. Does Lamar Jackson Is he a daunting task for you, Brian?
He's dangerous. And if he has Mark Andrews going and the receivers that they brought in, if they could finally break that jinx, hey, I mean, he could carve them up possibly, but typically they do very well. They scheme very well against the Baltimore Ravens. In fact, I think that they play Lamar Jackson a whole heck of a lot better than they play Tyler Huntley.
You think they play Lamar better than Tyler Huntley? What makes you say that?
The Steelers play against Lamar Jackson. They are more successful against Lamar Jackson than they are Tyler Huntley.
Oh, I thought you meant like they matched up better. I was just curious as to why you thought that.
Yeah, no, I just feel like they are able to anticipate Lamar a whole lot more. Now, Lamar on a broken play might be very dangerous to the Steelers, but his passing ability, and gosh, we saw what happened when even Lamar had to get 1 yard or a 2-point conversion and all of that, and it's a situation where they do very well when they face Lamar. And remember that one win that Lamar had against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled it away.
Yeah, 2019. So, all right, Dave, what do you think about Lamar Jackson? Or as they say in Baltimore, Lamar?
Lamar is one of those players that you have to ask yourself, is it eventually going to come around? Is it going to be that it's not that he's not going to be that guy that, can't beat the Steelers? But so many people don't even look at that he's rarely played against the Steelers. But when he has, it has not been good. So until he shows that he can do it, I'm going to say, hey, the Steelers can get the job done. But he's also a former MVP, but we don't know. I love him getting the big contract. We don't know what kind of Lamar Jackson, because of so many injuries, is he going to be 100% even at that point of the season? Because with his style of play, he's more likely to get dinged up along the way.
Still makes me nervous. That dude is a big play every time he touches the football. So that always, the same with Michael Vick. I think back to correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, is a 2002 season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
where
I went to a lot of games that year. I was at that game too.
Yeah, where it looked like, oh my gosh, Michael Vick's not doing anything. He breaks off run after run after run. Next thing you know, it ends in a tie.
There were 2 3rd and 17s that he converted.
Yeah. Yeah,
in that
game. That's the thought process. That is a little daunting for me still, even though the Steelers have done well against Lamar. He's just always that threat. Let's go to the next game on the docket, the game in Week 7 at the Los Angeles Rams. We're assuming that Matthew Stafford will be the quarterback here. Brian, what do you think?
If he's the quarterback there, he's a guy that you're not sure if he's going to be healthy through a full season. I think he won his Super Bowl. That was a magical season for them, but I don't think at this point in his career, he was a number 1 draft pick in 2009. I just don't think he's elite. The biggest problem you're going to have in this game, well, there's 2 biggest problems you're going to have in this game. One's Cooper Kupp, because he's magic. And the other thing that you're going to have to deal with here is the fact that you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Dave, what about you with Matthew Stafford? What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of reserving this game to maybe look for it after, during the Steelers bye week, because I don't really know what to really expect out of this Rams team. I feel there's too many question marks with what they're going to be doing. Is Matt Stafford going to be back? And the guy, I guess he is, but does he really have it left to step into that role? So assuming that it's him, I'm not overly concerned, but I'm not even sure it's going to be him.
Yeah, this is a weird one. 2 years ago, they won a Super Bowl. Last year, they look like, they're all banged up. Cooper Kupp is banged up. Matthew Stafford's banged up. Right now, this game is not very daunting, but that can change quickly. The next game, this is a game where I think a lot of people now, what used to be considered put a W next to this one. Not so much. Not only do they play the Steelers tough, but they finished the season very strong last year, and it's all by their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brian, what do you think about this game?
And this game is in Florida, correct?
No, it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, it's in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that really matters either, because Jacksonville still has a winning record over the Steelers in their career. I think this is actually. I think Trevor Lawrence is very good. But I think that this is the kind of game that the Steelers are expected to lose, and they don't. They play these teams tougher than you would think. Yeah, I think this defense could handle a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence can definitely beat them, of course. He's not elite yet, but he's very, very good.
Dave, you agree?
Yeah, I would say so far he might be the most concerning that we've talked about, only because the Steelers have that good history against Lamar Jackson. Therefore, with Trevor Lawrence, I think this is one of those games that you might view it one way going into the season, and by the time you're a couple weeks out, it has a completely different feel to it. I mean, think of it last year with the Steelers playing against the Dolphins. You didn't think much of the Dolphins at the time, and then they won their first 4 or 5 games, and you're like, wow, that's one of the toughest games they have left before the bye. So it's one of those things that I could really see changing depending on how Jacksonville, how everything's coming together for them. But I think when it comes to just the quarterback, I think Lawrence might be one of the best ones that they faced that we've talked about yet.
Yeah, this one is daunting, not just because of the Jacksonville Jaguars' history against Pittsburgh, but I think Trevor Lawrence is an up-and-coming star in this league, and I think he's going to prove it this season, not necessarily against Pittsburgh, but this season. Now, the next game, I talked about how Jacksonville used to always put a W. Just put a W next to it because that's a win. This game was always one of those where you looked at it and said, man, that's going to be a tough matchup, and that's the Tennessee Titans. It's in Pittsburgh, and you're also wondering who's going to be the quarterback. Is it Ryan Tannehill? Is it Will Levis, the rookie? Is it Malik Willis somehow, some way? I don't know. Nonetheless, the Tennessee Titans and their trio of quarterbacks come to Pittsburgh. Brian, what do you think?
I don't care. And to quote Mike Tomlin, we don't care. Bring any of them on.
And that was the quote for the Tennessee Titans when they had all those mishaps and the game got moved around and the Steelers bye week got shuffled in 2020. That was the quote. We don't care. So, all right, Dave, what about you? You agree?
Oh, the quote was, we do not care.
We do not care. Yes.
Yes. And I agree with Brian there. Whatever it is, I like the Steelers at home on a Thursday night, short week, and doesn't really matter which one of those quarterbacks is going to be. But it's another one of those that could change.
It could.
As it gets closer. What do you know? Maybe by then they put Levis in and he starts doing amazing things. Who knows? But right now, it doesn't concern me.
Yeah, not a daunting task, in my opinion. Then you go to the Green Bay Packers the next week coming to town. Again, you used to see this game. Aaron Rodgers, holy crap, it's going to be a tough one. Legendary game in Heinz Field. Yes, it was Heinz Field at the time when last second Ben Roethlisberger hits Mike Wallace in the corner of the end zone for a walk-off touchdown win. No more Aaron Rodgers, and he's in New York. Now it's Jordan Love. We don't know much about him, but Brian, what are your thoughts on the Love boat?
Yeah, that's the thing, and I was going to say the same thing. I don't know who this guy is. Of course, I know the number he wears. I know, everything where he was drafted. I also know that nobody was scared of Jalen Hurts last year either, and he was magic against this team. But this guy's not a rookie, so it's not a situation where the Packers said, "Hey, we've got Jordan Love, so Aaron Rodgers, you could leave." Aaron Rodgers held them hostage and made them trade him. So is he the guy that the Packers really want, or is he the placeholder? It's probably the placeholder, but he could be a wild card in this situation.
I agree. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this one. Going on it right now, that I'm like, I am not concerned at all about that situation. But that's sometimes when something, big comes out of the situation where all of a sudden no one's really thinking that, I don't know. I don't think Jordan Love's going to do much. And then all of a sudden, boom, he explodes a couple weeks into the season and things like that. So obviously that could change. But looking at it right now,
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, you just don't know, but Right now, that's the way we feel. Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't think we have to spend a ton of time on this. The dude's legit. You might not want to admit it. You might hate the Bengals, and you can, but you can also admit when someone's really good. Brian, what do you think about that?
He's really good, and he knows he's really good. And those receivers are just as good. This to me, this is the best quarterback in the National Football League, and not just the best quarterback on the Steelers schedule. And I'm
Dave?
including
Oh,
Patrick
sorry.
Mahomes, even though he's not
Ooh.
on the schedule. I think Joe Burrow is the guy.
Okay. Dave, what do you think?
Joe Burrow has the ability and he has the confidence, and it infects the entire team. So when it comes to Burrow, it's not just him. I think it's Cincinnati is completely different with him, in my opinion. I think it's because of him. And I can agree with Brian. To a point of, I will say Joe Burrow, I believe, is the best quarterback that the Steelers play on their schedule this year. Don't know if I'll go the whole way to say the best in the league, but the best they face this year.
I'd agree with that. I absolutely would agree with that. Let's go to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, we assume he's coming off of a pretty significant knee injury. If not, I think it'd be Colt McCoy. If he's still out there in Arizona, I don't know. But Brian, this can't be a really big concern, is it?
No, it's not. And the biggest concern here is the fact that you're out west more than anything here. Kyler Murray, even at full strength and healthy, with this team, with who he's surrounded with, I don't think he's daunting whatsoever. So, yeah, let's move on.
Dave?
Yeah, I don't know that he has a supporting cast.
Yeah.
Not you talk about his height. He is elusive if the injury doesn't hold him back at all. So there's that dynamic of it. But at the same time, I just don't know that he has the pieces that could help him become even more dangerous.
Whenever I think of Kyler Murray, all I do is I envision the 2019 play when it's one-on-one, he and Minkah Fitzpatrick, and open field, and Minkah brings him down. It was a huge play in that game, actually. I want to say, didn't Deontay Johnson return a punt for a touchdown in that game?
Yes, he did.
And I think that was the last punt return touchdown the Steelers have had, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. I believe you are correct.
I thought so. All right, that's my trivia, by the way. Okay, let's get New England Patriots. We don't know who the quarterback will be. Everyone assumes it's Mac Jones, but maybe it's Bailey Zappi. Bill Belichick, of course, is being very non-committal. Doesn't matter. Brian, what do you think about the quarterback situation in New England?
The best weapon that the New England Patriots have at quarterback are the coaches. That's it. Their offense coordinator, the old Penn State guy, the guy from the Texans. His name's
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien is back. Bob B.O.B. He's back. Belichick will always scare me with what they do, but when I look at Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, nothing to see here either.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think?
Average is the word that comes to mind. Not that they're average, but you'll get an average type performance. Maybe a quarterback that's not going to go out there and do a bunch of things to blow it, but also not one that's going to really, throw the team on their back and go down and be unstoppable at the end of the game in order to win it. I just see them more of a manager.
Yeah, so it'll be, believe it or not, Bailey Zappi is more of a threat, in my opinion, than Mac Jones. But that's just me. I've never been a big Mac Jones fan. I always thought he was a system quarterback, even back in his college days. So we'll see how that goes. The next week, the Steelers have the to-be-determined game against the Colts, and this is assuming Anthony Richardson. And this is a very athletic guy. He set the world on fire at the combine in terms of his athleticism, his raw athletic score, all of it. Brian, what do you think about the potential of going up against Anthony Richardson?
See week 4, see CJ Stroud, and see the fact that this guy was one of those players that did not emerge in December. He emerged more in February and March. He's a combine guy. Combine guys don't scare me as much.
Okay. Dave.
I have no freaking clue what to think of this one in December when I have no idea who's going to be their quarterback. Is Anthony Richardson going to be ready to be the quarterback to start the season? I don't know, but I would think that unless he's like a Malik Willis needs that much time, which I don't think he'd have been drafted that high if that was the case, then I expect him to probably be out there by the time they face the Steelers. But I really have no clue here.
Okay. Yeah, it's a wild card. He's athletic. I put him very much if he plays the way people expect, I put him in that Lamar Jackson type of athleticism category, which means that he can be a threat. You get these young rookie quarterbacks, if it's not there, what do? They tuck it and run. Sometimes those are the worst matchups for the Steelers defense. Last one. The Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith in Seattle. Brian, go ahead.
Geno Smith did not play that poorly in the second half of that week 7 or 8 game way back in 2021. You know, I've actually gave them fits, but that was also the second half. The Steelers had to get TJ Watt to step up for them to escape from that game. I'm also wondering if he had in his 10th or 11th season a breakout year. Can he really be that? I mean, can he improve that much, or was that just an aberration? Probably going to lean towards the fact that it's an aberration, but you're playing in Seattle, a place that the Steelers typically do not play well.
Yep. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's more about the location, but I kind of like what Brian's saying there. Geno Smith, that many years in the league, and then he comes up with this great year. Is it replicable? I'm not sure that it is. So that's another one of those games that, because it's late in the season, it could be any kind of storyline by the time it rolls around.
Their backup quarterback is used to be the quarterback in Denver. They traded him.
Drew Lock.
There you go. I always think Duloc from Shrek. Okay. I did ask this question on the website today. 3 questions. I'll ask you all and see if you agree with the many voters from the website. So the first one was, which AFC North quarterback is the most daunting to face? Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, or Lamar Jackson? Brian, who you got?
Joe Burrow.
Dave, you agree?
Burrow.
You agree with over 250 votes, 94% said Joe Burrow. Now, here it gets different. Which NFC quarterback is the most daunting on the Steelers schedule? Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, the Brock Purdy 49ers situation, Matthew Stafford, or Geno Smith? Brian, what do you say?
I'd have to say the 49ers, whoever it is.
All right. Dave?
All that question does is prove the difference in the quarterbacks from the AFC to the NFC. It could just be the Steelers schedule. If you base it off last year to Geno Smith, I don't know that really anybody, like, honestly, I would say maybe Kyler Murray. But like I said, I don't know that he had, if you're looking at just the quarterback, but I don't know that he has the pieces, offense, defense all around that really can help.
Shockingly, again, almost 250 votes is ran this afternoon. Matthew Stafford is leading with 39% of the votes.
Really?
Over Brock Purdy and the 49ers, and then Geno Smith, a close third. So pretty interesting there. Now, last one, which non-AFC North quarterback is the most daunting? You've got the Titans with Tannehill, Willis, Levis, Jimmy G, Stroud, Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, and then the Patriots with Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. Brian, who you got?
I have to go Trevor Lawrence.
Dave?
Totally, 100% Trevor Lawrence.
And that's by far and away who everyone else went with. 89% out of almost 250 votes went to Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars as the most daunting non-AFC North quarterback. So just a little tidbit of information to wrap this segment up. So that was a lot. But when you look at the quarterback situation, is it as daunting as maybe many people think? Keep that in the back of your mind as the season gets closer, folks. If you're listening on the audio side, we're going to take a quick break. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube, don't go anywhere because we're not going anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back. Second part of the show, we went a little bit long in the first part. We're just going to do trivia here in the second part. Brian, do you have trivia tonight?
I absolutely do tonight.
All right. Well, why don't you fire away?
All right. Yeah, a lot of people have talked the last couple of years that the Steelers have had a 1,000-yard rusher 2 years in a row, and that has not happened in a while in Pittsburgh, and it has been Najee Harris. And now people are saying that, well, there's an extra game. The 1,000-yard mark is not the milestone that everybody thinks it is. That's something that I absolutely disagree with. I think 1,000 is still more, especially with the running back position. But it got me to thinking, how many times have the Steelers had a 1,000-yard rusher in their history?
In
their history.
Going back to 1933?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know what kind of pressure.
So, for instance, like Franco Harris, if he does it however many times, it's only one?
No, that's going to be the next question. How many individually have done it? Now, Franco has done it a lot. So, how many? Franco counts if he did it 9 times, he counts as 9.
9 times. Okay, I'm going to go with since 1933. I don't think I don't know.
But they didn't play a lot of games back then, you know.
I'll go with
10 or 11, 12 games.
Give me Mike Webster, 52. Randomly picked out of a hat.
Okay, $1.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's less than 52. Let's go make it Fitzpatrick. Let's go 39.
28.
Oh, I still went over
28 times. Now we're going to go a little bit further.
Okay.
We're talking about 1933. When was the first year that the Steelers had a 1,000-yard rusher, and who was it?
1972, Franco Harris. He
Dave?
probably didn't even get 1,000 his rookie year, but that's just my guess.
He did.
Let's see. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go long time ago. I'm gonna go like 40s, but I got to make sure it wasn't the Steagles and stuff. I think it's safe to go. I don't know. I'll go 42 and Bill Dudley.
Okay, you guys are going with the twos. It is a 2, but it's 1962, and it's
62.
John Henry Johnson, the Hall of Fame.
John Henry. See, I was trying to think of who would have been an impressive running back that the Steelers had that might have done it. So that's why I went, But so John Henry Johnson, that makes sense.
And John Henry Johnson, very good. Now, I might have made a mistake here.
Oh boy.
Because somebody is saying 1964, but it is 1962. He did it also in 1964. But the first time the Steelers had it was 1962 and John Henry Johnson, so I did not make a mistake.
Okay.
Now, how many individuals have done it?
Out of 28?
Yes.
I'll say let's go Chris Boswell, 9.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say 9.
Well, gentlemen, if you guys were going to say 9, you were both correct.
Oh, yeah.
Boswell. Now, who has the most yards in one single season?
The most yards,
1,000-yard rushers.
Most yards in a single season?
Yep.
Is it Jerome?
Jerome's close. It's Barry Foster.
Oh,
I didn't even guess.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I would have said Le'Veon Bell, but that was all-purpose yards when he did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't he have
Foster
most
was
all-purpose yards?
1690 and 92.
Yeah.
Bettis with 1665 and 1997. So those are 2. Who are the other 7?
Okay, 1,000-yard rushers. The other,
and you already know John Henry Johnson. So
John Henry Johnson.
3. We know Najee Harris.
Najee Harris, and we know Le'Veon Bell.
5.
Okay.
Did we say Franco already?
We did not say Franco, so 6.
Okay, 6.
So 6.
Willie Parker.
7.
Because of Willie Parker. Did James Conner hit 1,000?
No.
Okay.
Amos Zaraway?
No.
Dang it.
I'm going to go.
James Conner had 973.
I knew he was close. Then I'm going to go. How about Rashard Mendenhall?
Number 8, Rashard Mendenhall. And there's one more.
We said Foster.
Is it modern era?
It's probably 90s, I bet you.
Bam Morris?
No.
He never had 1,000?
Nope.
I'm thinking I'm trying to go maybe outside the box.
Bam Morris's best year was 836.
Okay.
No, and even though I know he led the Steelers in rushing for several years, Merrill Hodge never got to 1,000.
No.
But he did lead the Steelers in rushing several years, didn't he?
Yes.
At least one, if not two.
Yeah.
I'll go with Sherry Richards' guess, Rocky Blyer.
Rocky Blyer would be correct.
Oh, we hadn't said him yet?
No.
Nope.
Oh,
and
of course it was right. Yeah.
And Rocky and Franco are the only ones to do it both in the same
season.
Yeah. That was that 1976 year. And that was the year that they were both injured in the AFC Championship game and lost to the Raiders. But that was a one-loss Raiders team. A lot of people forget about that.
All right. Good stuff. Dave.
There you go.
Dave, your trivia, what is it?
My trivia goes along with our topic. My trivia is quarterbacks, but my trivia is also AFC North. When did the AFC North begin in the state that it is?
2002.
2002.
Yes.
We're going back to 2002.
Okay.
Now, these aren't just AFC North games. These are overall games, regular season games. Who are the 5 quarterbacks in the AFC North with the most wins since it became the conference it is today in 2002?
Who are the what?
I went the 5 quarterbacks with the most games won. Who won the most games?
For any team.
Yeah, for any of the AFC had to be playing for an AFC North team.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger is the obvious number 1. He had 160.
Joey Flacco, I bet, is up
there.
Joe
Flacco was number 2 with 96 wins.
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer is 4th with 46 wins.
Okay, this can't be right, but I'm going to try Steve McNair.
McNair is tied for 10th.
Okay, because he wasn't with Baltimore long.
Yeah,
okay.
He had 15 wins.
15? Well, Tommy Maddox might be up there then. If he has
Tommy Maddox was tied for 10th.
I was going to say, he's got to be in the top 10 if he's 15. Yeah. He's got to be close.
Tied. Yep.
So
Vince
what are we missing?
Young.
No. Vince Young?
I don't know. Oh no, he was with the Titans.
They
weren't even
that's Central, man. That's
Central.
It was a valiant guess.
So wait, so where are we right now?
We've got 1, 2, and 4.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton is number 3.
Wow.
With 70.
He had
so 70. It goes Roethlisberger,
that's
Flacco,
amazing.
Dalton, Palmer.
I don't think it could be a Brown.
It's not Baker Mayfield, is it?
No, it can't be a Brown.
Baker Mayfield is 6th with 29.
Oh my gosh.
What about Lamar?
It would be Lamar Jackson with 45.
Oh, there you go.
With 45. Do you want to hear the rest of the 10?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. 7th is Joe Burrow with 24. 8th is Kyle Bowler with 20.
Oh my gosh.
9th is Derek Anderson with 16. And
I can believe that.
Tied for 10th, Maddox and McNair with 15.
How did Bowler win 20 games?
He did.
Oh my goodness.
In the AFC North era too.
Yeah, from 2002. Yep. He had 20 wins. So which team of the 4 do you think has the least number of different quarterbacks that won at least one game in the AFC North?
Steelers.
The least number of quarterbacks that won one game?
Yeah.
Bar none, Pittsburgh.
I would think Pittsburgh with Roethlisberger, yeah.
It is not the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've had 11 different players win a game since the AFC North at quarterback since the AFC
Oh,
North.
can we name those?
No, that's the next question. Answer the other question, and then we'll come back to this question.
Then I would say Baltimore.
Baltimore has had 12.
I was going to say Cincinnati.
It is Cincinnati. They've only had 9 different quarterbacks win games.
Oh, wow.
All right, so 11 quarterbacks that have won the game for the Steelers, right?
Okay, 11 quarterbacks that have won games
Let's
for the
get
Steelers.
the obvious ones out of the way.
Let's
So
see if you can figure them out in order.
In order?
Go. Let's see if you can go order.
So that would be Tommy Maddox, right, Brian?
Why would he would be? No, I mean,
you're.
not chronological order. Sorry,
I'm thinking 2002.
Oh, yeah.
we could do it in chronological order because I don't have because they're mixed up in there.
Oh, we could do it in
By
chronological
the
order.
most to the least. By the most to the
okay.
No, I think chronological order is easier.
What does
I
matter?
don't have it in chronological
right,
order.
so
Brian.
I have it in my brain in chronological order. I can do it.
Okay, so Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Is C Batch number 2?
He's only had 15 wins.
There was only one other member of the Steelers that was in the top 10.
Oh, Tommy Maddox.
Tommy Maddox is number 2
Okay,
with 15.
Charlie Batch.
Charlie Batch is 4th. He
Kenny
has
Pickett?
6 wins.
Kenny.
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett is 3rd. Kenny effing Pickett.
Kenny. Then Charlie Mace.
Mason Rudolph with 5. And yep.
Duck. Devlin Duck Hodges.
Duck
Yeah,
is one of 3 players that has 3 wins.
Landry.
Landry Jones.
Byron didn't have 3. Did Dennis Dixon have?
Byron only has 1 win.
Right. Dennis Dixon gets credited with a win.
I don't think Byron Leftwich having a win for the Steelers at all in a game he started.
He
Okay.
lost that. He lost that game against Baltimore. That
Okay,
Sunday
yeah,
night
I
game that
guess
he
he's
hurt
0-1.
himself.
Yeah.
Then I would go Cordell.
Cordell was the other one with 3. So Cordell, Landry Jones, Devlin Hodges all with 3. And then there's 3 that have 2.
Did I say? Did you get Dennis Dixon?
Dennis Dixon has 2.
Michael Vick win 2.
Michael Vick won 2.
Yeah.
Is there another one?
There's one more.
It's not Brian St. Pierre. I don't think he ever.
I was just going to say Bryan St. Pierre.
Nope.
Is it Mitch?
It's Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, mighty Mitch.
I was like, what, is there someone?
Son of a Mitch.
We just got Mitch slapped.
Yeah, so since 2002, those are the 11 quarterbacks. And hey, here's one more. Who is the only quarterback to win a game for more than one AFC North team?
He's the only quarterback to win a game for what? More
For
than one?
multiple AFC North teams.
Neil O'Donnell?
Since 2002.
Oh,
In the same era. In the same era. We're still talking the same era. Sorry.
I gotta feel this one. This was like
Dennis Dixon.
Dennis Dixon did not win any games as a starter for the Ravens.
Okay.
I don't even know if
is it
started.
Cordell?
It's not Cordell.
It's got to be Baltimore's involved in this, aren't they?
You are correct. Baltimore is involved in this.
Well, it's not Flacco because he.
I could give Brian a hint.
The Rock?
No.
I thought you were smelling what someone was cooking.
Well, you're close. Smell or sniff?
Sniffs. He's a druggie.
Nope. But
He smells.
But no, you have a nickname.
The nose.
It is
Byron
one,
Sandwich.
It is one RG3.
Oh, Robert Sniffin the turd.
I forgot he played for Cleveland.
He had 1 win for Cleveland and 1 win for Baltimore.
Oh, I forgot about, and one was against the Steelers.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, that's good. I like that. I like that. That type of trivia, modern enough that I know it, and say there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, good stuff. I would have last week we did Alabama. I might be having an Ole Miss trivia the next time you all are back and ready to go.
Ooh.
So let's we'll hold off on that for another discussion. You all will be out next week, but Brian, go ahead and do your final thoughts.
All right. So I was talking the other day how I was thrilled that somebody came up to me at a camp and said, "Hey, I listen. I not only listen to you, but I watch you on YouTube. We listen to you on the audio." And I saw this gentleman, and so I thought that was great because that's something that never happens, and it's always nice to meet people because we talk in the live chat. We see you. We feel like we know you well, and it's here. Sometimes you forget about the fact that you are somebody's friend when you're doing this job, because sometimes they're alone or they're in their car alone and you're keeping them company. And that's something we do. So I was at Walmart the other day, and Dave knows this story, but Jeff doesn't. And I'm at Walmart and I buy some soup. I wanted to get some soup. It was in a jar. And I put the soup in the top of the cart. And my wife yells at me a couple minutes later and said, "You almost lost that soup. It was going to splat everywhere all over me. It almost fell out." So I had to put it in the other part of the cart. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that would have been awful. I mean, what a mess that would have been." Forgetting that I bought 2 jars of wedding soup, or was going to purchase 2 jars of soup. So we are in the clothes section, and splat. Here we go. And so I'm like, "Oh," and my wife's like, "See," and like it scared everybody because it banged, and glass was everywhere, and wedding soup and little tiny meatballs were everywhere. And I'm like, "Oh, damn it." So I had to go and tell the guy at Walmart. And I said, "Excuse me, sir. I feel like an idiot. I just smashed some soup. What do you need me to do to clean it up?" He goes, "Well, I'll get someone to clean it up." And I said, "Thank you very much. Hey, aren't you Bryan Anthony Davis from Behind the Steel Curtain Network?" And I was like, "Oh." I was elated the other day, and now I'm like, "Oh, I feel like such an idiot." So next thing you know, we're snapping a selfie together. I mean, and I said, "Well, Jeff and Dave are in this town too." And he goes, "I see Dave, but I've seen Dave here before, but I just never had the nerve to go up and talk to him." So there you go. You never know when you do something stupid, who knows who you are. That's all I'm going to say. That's my final thought.
It's funny. Dave's had people recognize him, his name and everything. I've never had one person in public ever say like, "Wait a second, are you that? Are you Jeff Hartman?" Like never once. So
I'm shocked.
I guess people don't, where I shop, they don't listen to this show.
My kids recognized you at Sam's Club that one time.
Your kids. I know your kids. Your kids
know,
are,
but
your daughter is
recognize
my
you.
son's age. That's how we met.
I know, but I'm trying to make you feel good, Jeff.
I'm fine. Dave, go ahead. Final thought.
Sorry, people that are shopping for Tofurkey probably aren't the ones that are listening to the Arch
What
Steelers
does that say?
podcast.
First, I don't eat Tofurkey. Second thing, what does that say about our listeners, Dave? They don't care about their health?
No.
They're not buying wedding soup at Walmart?
Wedding soup's good. I grew up in an Italian household.
I don't even know what to say for closing thoughts at this point, other than the fact that you all that put up with us week after week, especially through this part of the year, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you all, we would probably still be sitting here laughing anyway. Yep. But it's so much nicer to have people that are laughing along with us.
That's true. That is true. And next week, these two guys are not going to be here. I will with someone. I don't know who it is, but I'll be here. So we'll talk about football and stuff. And so,
should we do a raffle in the live chat?
A raffle?
Yeah.
They got to pay $5 a ticket, and then the winner gets
the co-host.
No one would buy a ticket. All right, Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey,
there you go. We'll see you next week. I will, at least. See you next week on our Steelers preview.
Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.